You do a lot better job when you do it and sew it, because it holds it down in place better. It's hard for me to do that with this, what I'm doing without sewing it. Okay. So we get down to the last part here, where this is where it got really tricky for me. And what I discovered, yes, that's right. That's why we put the hair on last. Because you don't want to damage it at all. And during the process of putting facial parts on, it's a lot of fun to work with, but it also is very frustrating. And how I ended it was I kept going, you know, a little less than an inch till I got to the center. And then what I did, now I've lost my needles. Oops. Okay, let me see. I'm going to find one here. Okay, I have a different color, but this will work. Thank goodness I have a lot of thread that's pre-threaded for me. Okay, here we go. So when I got to the end, this is what I did. I squeezed this last little piece. I kind of pinched it together. So I made circle, circle, and I'm down to this center, like the center of the back, like the center of the, kind of where your own hair meets at the center at the back there. And I want to hide as much of the fabric. So what I would do is fold, and I'm going to clip this piece off. I'm not going to do it today, but I would clip this piece off because there's extra left over. I don't need this extra. I'm just going to get rid of it. So I'm going to, again, grab the fabric, squeeze in, and because my thread is tangled, I'm just going to, again, grab, squeeze in that area, and I'm going to pull tight. And do that again. I hope you can see this. Okay, what I'm doing is really just sewing this last piece together with the thread. Okay, again, make sure your feathers, with the hint that Sean had, cover them with fabric. I'm going to be taking this apart. I have to redo it, but you're getting an idea and hints on how to sew this hair, because it took me a while to figure out some of these steps, so it's certainly not out there. But you can start seeing how it's coming together, this last piece, and giving you kind of a finish line to it. Now the funny thing is they must dye the feathers in this company before they put it on the fringe, because this should be blue, this white part where they actually sew all the feathers together. What I would suggest is to get a marker or a little bit of paint and just dab on that white area so it blends in with paint, or like I know they sell Sharpies in every color now if you look around, so you might be able to find a Sharpie at a very similar color and just dab on it. You don't need a lot, you just need to cover up the white area. So there we go. I hope you can see where the pink thread is showing, and see how it's gathering that last piece of the seam together. And again, I would snip it off right here and tuck it underneath the other piece underneath, just the little tail end, so you hide it away, and there you go. You've got a puppet with a great set of feathered hair. And he's ready to go. Feathers add a lot of movement to puppets. I like using them, especially for kids. You can really add a lot of great movement, or kids love the feathers. It adds that extra movement to them, and it keeps their attention a lot longer if you plan to use them. Toon, do you have any other suggestions that I might have missed? Because I know you've used ostrich feathers as well. Okay, so there we go. There's covering the head with hair. Are there any other questions from anybody that you might want to ask around covering a puppet's head? Okay, a question was asked, do you ever trim it? You can trim it a little bit, especially around the face. I don't normally. I try to get it in the area where you don't want to trim it because it makes it start looking not natural. It starts looking straight, or it looks like you've cut it, and you want to keep it as natural as possible. Sometimes if there's big long strands, which you'll find, really long strands that stick out further than the rest, you either will remove it completely, okay, or you'll cut it far back underneath. So it still gives it body, the hair, the body, and the lift that you want, without it, you know, it kind of all sits on top of itself. So yes, I wouldn't normally trim it, but you can do a little bit of trimming. If it's blocking eyes too much, you may want to snip a few a bit shorter. But that's the part where you have to play with it before you trim it. Okay, like you need to figure out and make sure it's not interfering. Not for me, Toon. Not for me. I either got double layered or single layered. But Toon is saying some places will give you a 4-inch or 6-inch. Is there a lifespan expected when using feathers? Yes, there is. It's a natural product. I don't know a lot of information on how long they last, to be quite honest. I don't know if anybody else knows. But you've got to be a lot more careful when you add feathers like this to your puppets, because you don't want to break. Here, I'll show you here. You don't want to break these at all when you're packing them or bend them, because they will snap and then it all will collapse, the hair, and it'll look bad. So you've got to be really, really careful. You got to watch moth. So, well, it's not an issue. You just got to make sure you don't crush the head. Okay, so Sean, once again, for Puppets and Stuff says, it depends how much you are using the puppet. They pick up oils from your hands and start to mat. And they will get old and moit. I don't know what moit means, but I'm sure it means something to somebody out there. Molt. Oh, and molt. Okay, molt. Oh, it is molt. I said it wrong. My fault. Yeah, and moths. You got to make sure wherever you store the puppets that you don't have moths in the area, because moths are attracted to feathers and will eat them. But as you can tell, just adding this hair just adds so much to the puppet. Cool and dry, yes, preferably. To store them, cool and dry, absolutely. Yeah. So there you go. That is how you do the feathers for a hair, or for anything. For costuming, you can use a pretty similar method on adding feathers to costumes and that. But that gives you an idea on how to cover a head with ostrich feathers. Thank you.